Welcome back to the Reading Corner. This week we're covering Magneto, the Vanguard mutant of magnetism, master of magnetism. I really suck at these intros, you can tell. So I'm just going to jump straight into the Lord segment. Trial of Magneto. As he gazed off into the distance towards the line where the ocean met the sky, Magneto's cape fluttered gently in the calm breeze that was drifting across the coast of the sentient island nation of Krakoa. This was a life far longer than most people ever had the chance to live, and this was one of the few moments of true peace that he could recall. But he knew from experience it would not last for long. It never did. "Something on your mind, old man?" a familiar voice asked from above, breaking the silence. As Magneto glanced up, there, hovering on the wind like a majestic goddess, was Aurora Monroe, the mutant weather manipulator known as Storm. "Funny, isn't it," mused Magneto, "that we fought all those years for a better future for mutant kind, and now we have finally found it, further in the future than any of us ever imagined." Not so long ago, the sovereign nation of Krakoa had been swept up in a chronal storm, a time-twisting anomaly that would have ripped the island to bits if not for Aurora's deft manipulation of its tumultuous currents. Instead of becoming lost in the time stream forever, Krakoa arrived safely on the other side of the Tempest in the year 2099. The future that mutant kind had always dreamed of was finally theirs to claim, and Magneto was never one to let such an auspicious opportunity pass him by. "It matters not what century we are in," Storm said. "What matters is our people have a home here in Krakoa, thanks to you, Eric." Magneto cringed as his old friend called him by his human name. True, he had gone by many of them over the decades. Max Eisenhart, Eric Lesher, Magnus. But they were monikers he had merely tolerated in order to better fit into a world where Homo sapiens still believed themselves in control. Here, in this new era, he could choose a name that spoke to who he truly was. Magneto, the mutant master of magnetism. "I may be leading the cause to find our fellow mutants and bring them to this safe harbor, my dear," said Magneto, "but the success of this crusade cannot be attributed to one mutant alone." "You're damn right it can't, bub," a grizzled voice snarled from the edge of the jungle that bordered Krakoa's shore. Magneto and Storm both turned to see a familiar figure walking out of a newly blossomed Krakoan gate. The short, hairy figure looked as though he had just been to hell and back, and knowing Wolverine, that could very literally be the case. Alongside Wolverine stood a young mutant, just old enough for powers to begin manifesting. "Found the kid who got sucked through that dimensional rift," Wolverine continued. "She's lucky I went in after her. Limbo is no place for a new mutant." "I couldn't disagree more," another voice said, this one with a hint of a Russian accent. "This new mutant has managed just fine there." "Elena? Can it truly be?" Storm rushed over to the young woman who had just stepped through the gateway, instantly wrapping her in an embrace. For years, Elena Rasputin, the mutant teleporter known as Magic, had been like a daughter to Storm, before she was claimed by the darkness of Limbo. "Nice to see you too, Wind Rider," and said Magic with an uncomfortable smirk. "It's been longer than I care to remember." Magneto stepped towards the new arrival, not embracing her, but examining her closely instead. There was something strange about her. It was clear that she had walked a far different path than the Elena Rasputin of this world. This child had been hardened by horrors of war, something to which Magneto himself could closely relate. "You are not the child we once knew," Magneto said, "but you are welcome here on Krakoa. All mutants are, regardless from where or when they hail. How about people who grew up thinking they were mutants, only to have their entire world turned upside down when they learned the truth years later?" Magneto audibly gasped as the question was asked by another woman who had just arrived through the Krakoan gateway. His gaze instantly shifted over to her as she walked forward. Her every step stirred ripples across his memory, for he had been there when she had taken her very first one so many years ago. "Wanda." "Hello, father," the Scarlet Witch said as he approached Magneto with a calm confidence that few had ever known in his presence. She reached up and began to slowly remove Magneto's helmet, an action that would almost certainly be met with instant retaliation should anyone else attempt it. But Magneto stood as silent as solid steel, simply basking in the magic of his long-lost daughter's company. His stoic expression softened as Wanda leaned in and gave him a gentle kiss on the cheek. How can you be here?" Magneto managed to say. He could bend adamantium into any shape with his mutant power, but these simple words were somehow nearly impossible to form. It took a bit of work, Wanda mused. I'm not technically a mutant like you, after all, which means Krakoa wouldn't normally let me through its gates. But a touch of chaos magic did the trick. What I meant to say is... Oh, Wanda's playful tone vanished faster than a stage magician's pet rabbit. You're Wanda. She's gone, isn't she? I'm sorry. This must be difficult. Quite the opposite, Magneto said, regaining his composure. To see your face again, to hear your voice, to know that, somewhere in this vast multiverse, a version of you has thrived. It's perhaps the least difficult thing I could ever conceive. It is all that any father ever wants. I wouldn't say I've been thriving exactly, Wanda admitted. I've been holding my own universe together by its threads for far too long. I truly believed that I was its only hope to survive. Like father, like daughter, chuckled Wolverine. But I've started to see the bigger picture, Wanda continued. We're all fighting our own wars. The only chance we have of winning them and keeping all of our universes intact is if we start fighting together. Speaking of fighting, I'm late for a date with Natasha, Wolverine said. We've got ourselves a tin-plated dictator it needs overthrowing. Magneto almost chastised Wolverine for entrenching himself in the petty squabbles between the humans of this era, but he paused for a moment and considered his daughter's words. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps his own war to preserve humankind was just one battle of many, all of them equally important. Since Krakoa arrived in this future, my allegiance has been to mutant kind alone, said Magneto. I felt it best to isolate our people in order to protect them. But your words inspire me, my dear. It is clear that no mutant is an island. Except Krakoa, da, Magic chimed in playfully. In order to commit to such an alliance, however, it must be a mutually beneficial one, Magneto continued. There are still mutants out there, lost across space and time, who require our assistance in order to lead them home. That sounds like the perfect task for a Sorcerer Supreme, Wanda said, but I require your help. As fond as I am of your classic look, I think we're in need of a helmet that's a bit more functional. Of course, Magneto said, raising his hand into the air. Within moments, tiny scraps of metal buried beneath the sands of Krakoa's beaches converged and reshaped themselves into a complex yet familiar device once worn by Charles Xavier himself, Cerebro. If I recall, old-school Cerebro was capable of tracking down mutants anywhere in the world, said Wanda, but a few arcane enhancements should expand the helmet's search area to include adjacent dimensions as well. Like you said, all mutants are welcome here, regardless of where or when they hail. Well, said Magic, her eyes burning with anticipation, try it on already, old man. The moment Magneto put on the helmet, he saw flashes of powerful mutants scattered across the multiverse, a telepathic ninja trapped in a strange world of unholy amusements, a king of the seas preparing to strike at the unsuspecting surface world, a powerful cosmic presence determined to burn the darkness out of the night sky, and thousands more, each yearning to defy fate and find their place in an ever-shifting cavalcade of timelines and realities. There is much work to be done, Magneto said. Far more than I expected. When do we begin? No time better than the present, said Magic. Or the future, I guess, wherever we are. You have given mutants a gift this day, Wanda, Magneto said proudly. Your efforts will not be forgotten. I'm going to hold you to that, Wanda replied. And when the time comes, the army that you're about to gather may very well be the one that tips the balance in our favour. Then let this be a call to all mutants across time and space, Magneto continued. The gates of Krakoa are open to them. In the words of a dear old friend, to me, my X-Men. So yeah, that's the first lore segment for Magneto. I've played him. He's not my favourite, but he's definitely a damage taker. He can throw up a shield that can protect your allies. He is a heavy weapons guy. If you can fling your objects at him, he deals some significant damage. But not my go-to favourite at the moment. But yeah, stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe. It should probably be up by the time you watch this video. Law segment number 2 is coming up soon. So thanks for listening.